The pregnant black woman asked in a soft voice, "Is there anything left?" The millionaire's expression changed as soon as he saw her condition. How disgusting! How can they let someone like that in here? Victoria Ashford's sharp words cut through the fancy restaurant, aimed right at the woman standing by the main table. Kesha Williams held her big belly and kept her head high, even though she felt everyone's harsh, judging eyes. "Excuse me, sir," she said to the man in the perfect suit, who was slicing a $200 steak. "Is there anything you're not going to eat?" Her question rang through the elegant room like a loud alarm. People stopped talking, waiters froze in place. The heavy silence was full of hidden prejudice, now out in the open. David Chun, the CEO of a huge construction company, paused with his fork in midair. Kesha was only 25, but her eyes showed a quiet strength that didn't match her rough situation. She was soaked from rain and clearly hungry, but something in her calm posture caught David's interest. "How long has it been since you ate?" David asked, ignoring the shocked whispers around them. "3 days, sir." Her answer was simple and honest. David set his utensils down. Kesha didn't beg, didn't tell a dramatic story, and didn't try to act pitiful. She just spoke with a calm dignity that didn't fit the way she looked. "Waiter!" David called out in a firm voice that cut across the room. "Bring her a plate." Anger exploded right away. "David, you can't be serious," Victoria whispered fiercely. "You're going to turn this place into a circus." The manager walked over, looking nervous. "Mr. Chun, maybe she can eat in the kitchen. The other customers feel uncomfortable." David was famous for 3 things: smart business sense, no patience for mistakes, and a gift for seeing the truth in people. Watching Kesha stay calm while everyone judged her, he saw something no one else did. "Sit down," he said, pulling out a chair. "Right here." Kesha hesitated, not because she was scared, but because she was thinking. David noticed and felt even more curious. What pregnant woman would think twice before accepting food? "Are you sure?" she asked quietly. "I'm wet and dirty." "You look perfect," David said. "What's your name?" "Kesha Williams." As the waiter brought her plate, Victoria couldn't hold back anymore. "This is ridiculous, David. You're rewarding her. Tomorrow there'll be a line of beggars." David gave Victoria a cold look. "Beggars? She's a pregnant woman who politely asked for food. If that bothers you, maybe you need to look at your own values." Kesha started eating slowly, each bite calm and polite, which somehow made the other rich diners even angrier. Every move showed grace, as if she'd learned table manners they thought only belonged to them. "Where did you learn to act like this?" David asked with real interest. "My grandmother taught me. She said dignity doesn't cost anything." Her words hit David hard, reminding him of something he'd forgotten while building his empire. Victoria snorted, but David kept his eyes on Kesha. As she ate with quiet strength, he had no idea her story would soon change everything he believed about respect and worth. And he couldn't have guessed that behind her tired but determined eyes were secrets that would not just change his own life, but shake the very beliefs of everyone who looked down on her. If you like stories about strength, subscribe, because what Kesha was about to share would turn all their ideas about intelligence, dignity, and true value upside down. "Do you have family?" David asked, watching her remain calm despite the hateful looks. "I did. My grandmother died last year. She raised me after my parents died in an accident when I was 12. Victoria let out a loud, mocking sigh. "What a touching story. What's next? She was a surgeon?" Kesha set her fork down and looked Victoria right in the eye. "Not a surgeon, a biomedical engineer. MIT class of 2019. I specialized in affordable heart devices." The silence that followed was complete. Victoria nearly choked on her champagne. "MIT?" David leaned closer, impressed. "Where did you work?" "Advanced Med Systems. I spent 3 years developing medical technology for poor communities. I was about to finish a new pacemaker that would cost 80% less." She touched her belly gently. "And when they found out?" David asked. "They fired me, officially for budget cuts. But the vice president, Blake Morrison, Told me a black single mother didn't fit the image they wanted for investors. Victoria laughed coldly. Oh, please, no respected company would do something that obvious. You expect us to believe this? Kesha looked at her with a calmness that made Victoria uneasy. Ms. Ashford, may I ask, what did you study? Victoria looked annoyed. That doesn't matter. I studied science. I learned that when people refuse to look at facts, they're usually afraid of what the facts will prove. David watched, amazed, as Kesha stayed polite but completely took apart Victoria's argument. Blake Morrison, he repeated, thinking. I know that name. Yes, Kesha said. He's powerful enough to blacklist me. No one will hire me. On paper, it's always some excuse. David nodded slowly. So you spent everything I had fighting it, Kesha said. I lost my apartment. Everything, except this. She tapped a small waterproof bag by her chair. Victoria stood up, knocking her glass over. David, this is crazy. She just shows up with some fairy tale. You can't actually believe her. David looked at her with an icy calm that made everyone stop. Victoria, finish your sentence. Someone like, what? Victoria hesitated, then lifted her chin. People like her don't go to MIT. That's reality. David repeated the word softly, as if it was sour. Reality. Kesha watched them both. Mr. Chun, she said gently. Thank you for the meal, but you don't need to defend me. I'm used to this. You shouldn't be, David said firmly. And I won't stop. Kesha studied him. Why? He paused. Why what? Why do you care? You don't know me. David thought for a moment. Because I know unfairness when I see it. He looked down. And I was judged for my background, too. How so? Kesha asked. My parents were Chinese immigrants. They worked non-stop so I could go to school. When I started in construction, they mocked me, said I'd fail. Kesha nodded slowly. Now your company builds half the city. But I was lucky, he added. I met people who believed in me. What if I could prove everything I told you? David leaned forward. Show me. Kesha opened her bag and took out a tablet. This has 3 years of research and proof of discrimination. Victoria sneered. A magic tablet no one can check? Kesha turned on the screen. David saw diagrams, emails, and data. My God, he whispered. It's real. She turned it off. What do you do when you have proof that could save lives, but no one thinks you matter? David looked at her, pregnant, exhausted, yet brilliant. Victoria shook her head, still clueless. Then Kesha's phone buzzed. A message. Be careful, some doors should stay shut. BM. She showed it to David. His eyes narrowed. Blake Morrison, he muttered. How did he know? Kesha glanced at Victoria, typing on her phone. Connections, she said calmly. People like him have eyes everywhere. David took out his phone and sent a text. My lawyer, Marcus Webb. He's the best. Mr. Chun, I can't accept charity. It's not charity. It's an investment. You're insane, Victoria yelled. You'll regret this. David turned, his voice cold as ice. Victoria, you should leave. She stared at him, shocked. You'll see, people like her always show their true colors. After she left, David faced Kesha again. Ignore her. Tell me everything about Morrison. For a moment, pain and determination flashed in Kesha's eyes. He didn't just fire me. He ruined the careers of other black scientists. I have proof of 12 cases. 12, David repeated, anger building. And you saved all this evidence? Kesha smiled, not a thankful smile, but something sharper. 3 years of emails, recordings, reports, because my grandmother taught me knowledge without justice means nothing. David realized he wasn't talking to a helpless victim. He was talking to a strategist who had turned her own suffering into a fight for justice. Every insult only made her stronger, setting the stage for a reckoning men like Morrison never expected. 20 minutes later, Marcus Webb arrived, a black lawyer famous for never losing discrimination cases. Recognition flashed in his eyes. Kesha Williams? David looked at them both. Can you help her? Better, Marcus said. I'll make sure Morrison never does this again. He opened his briefcase. If you have what I think you do, we're not just suing. We're getting a federal investigation. A federal investigation? Keisha asked. Advance Med gets $300 million in government contracts. If we prove discrimination, they'll lose it all and pay huge fines. Keisha's eyes glinted. Billions. And that's just the start, Marcus said. We can force every company in the industry to change. Marcus leaned forward. Exactly how much proof do you have? Keisha tapped her tablet. 3 years of careful records, 12 cases of discrimination, recordings of Morrison saying he needed to keep the company looking a certain way, emails telling HR to find fake reasons to fire skilled black employees. My God, David whispered. There's more, Keisha said. Morrison changed reports, ruined presentations, and took credit away from black researchers, giving it to less qualified white workers. Marcus scribbled notes quickly. That's enough to ruin them. How long to build the case? With all the evidence, 3 months to present, 6 to finish. Just then, Kesha's phone buzzed. Another message from Morrison. I see you found powerful friends. It won't help you. People like you always show your true colors. Disappear quietly before it gets ugly. David read it, his face tense. He's trying to scare you. Marcus picked up his phone and typed back. Mr. Morrison, this is Marcus Webb, Ms. Williams' lawyer. Send any messages to me. This is your warning. Stop intimidating witnesses. The reply came fast. Marcus Webb, the little lawyer who thinks he can beat the big guys. Good luck proving the lies of a pregnant beggar. Some battles are too big for small people. Marcus gave a cold smile. He just made a huge mistake. That's written proof of threats and racism. Kesha looked at her 2 new allies. Are you sure you're ready for this? Morrison has strong connections. He can make your lives hard. David and Marcus exchanged serious looks. David said, Men like Morrison win because good people stay scared. Not this time. Marcus added, I have to confess, it's no accident I'm here. I've been watching Advance Med for 2 years, waiting for real evidence. What do you mean? Kesha asked. My daughter Jasmine is a brilliant chemical engineer. They didn't hire her even though she was the best. They picked a less qualified white man. When David told me about an engineer with proof, I knew it had to be you. So you came looking for me on purpose. We came for justice, David said. And you have the keys to open all the doors Morrison locked. Kesha took a deep breath. For the first time in months, she didn't feel alone. My baby is due in a month. Perfect, Marcus smiled. When Morrison has to testify in court, you'll be holding his son. That image will destroy him. Then David got an idea. Kesha, does your pacemaker design really work? Yes, it works perfectly. It would cut costs by 80% and save thousands of lives every year in poor communities. Then let's do more than take Morrison down. Let's show the world what he tried to hide. David grabbed his phone. I know people at Stanford and Johns Hopkins. They'd love to see your research. Kesha looked at the man who had turned her desperate plea for food into a chance for justice and change. Why are you doing this for me? She asked, touched. Because sometimes justice needs our help, Marcus said. And because people like Morrison depend on our silence, David added. Besides, I feel helping you is the best decision I'll ever make. While the 3 planned their next steps, Morrison sat smug in his office, thinking he had scared her off. He didn't know the woman he called worthless would soon destroy his career and start a revolution in medical technology. And he didn't see that every threat he sent only made her allies more determined. Underestimating a woman who survived MIT, racism, and homelessness would become the worst mistake of his life. 6 weeks later, the Stanford auditorium was packed for the Affordable Medical Tech Conference. Morrison sat in the front row as a guest expert, unaware of what was coming. Our next speaker, the moderator announced, is Dr. Keisha Williams, MIT graduate, who will present her life-saving cardiac devices. Morrison nearly spit out his coffee. Impossible, he muttered. That woman lives on the street. Keisha stepped onto the stage holding her newborn baby. It was a powerful sight, a black mother, brilliant and brave, ready to save millions of lives. The audience of 500 scientists and investors fell silent. 4 months ago, Keisha began, voice steady. I was asking for leftover food, not because I was unskilled, but because a corrupt system decided my skin color and status as a single mother didn't fit their idea of excellence. Morrison looked around nervously, hoping to find a way out. Today, she continued, I'm not just here to share a technology that cuts pacemaker costs by 80%. I'm here to show how this innovation was blocked by racism. The big screen behind her displayed the first slide, Discrimination at Advanced Med, a case study. Morrison tried to stand, but Marcus stepped in front of him, blocking the aisle with a calm smile. In 2020, Keisha said, Vice President Blake Morrison told me, women like you don't fit the image we want to show investors. The crowd gasped. Morrison began to sweat heavily. Luckily, I recorded that conversation. She pressed a button and Morrison's voice filled the hall. Keisha, let's be real. You're smart, but our investors are conservative. A black single mother can't lead our main project. The crowd erupted in outrage. Morrison turned red, trying to hide behind others. And that's not all, Keisha continued. She played another recording of Morrison telling HR, we have to get rid of Williams and Johnson. Too much diversity is hurting the team. Find reasons. Be creative. The audience began pointing fingers as Morrison started to panic. For 3 years, Keisha said calmly, I documented 12 cases of racial bias here. Brilliant engineers fired, research stolen, credit given to less skilled white co-workers. The screen showed names and evidence. Morrison knew every one, his own decisions to keep the company looking right. Dr. Marcus Johnson, she said, invented a new surgical method and was fired for cultural incompatibility. Another recording played. Johnson is getting too popular. Doctors are asking for him. This must stop. Morrison tried sneaking away, but David was there filming. Leaving early, Blake? He asked loudly. 15 minutes ago, Keisha announced, federal agents entered Advanced Med with warrants. The company is under investigation. But what I'm most proud of, Kesha continued, rocking her baby, is that this technology will be used in hospitals next month, thanks to those who believe intelligence has no color. David stepped up. My company is funding mass production. We'll save 500,000 lives a year. The audience stood up cheering. Morrison was alone, everyone moving away. Marcus walked over holding papers. Blake Morrison, you're being charged with racism, witness threats, and breaking civil rights laws. Your money has been frozen. Morrison stammered. This is persecution. I'm the victim. A conspiracy? Kesha repeated into the microphone. No, Mr. Morrison. A conspiracy is when 12 qualified people are fired because you don't like their skin color. This is justice. Morrison tried one last threat. You don't know who you're messing with. I have powerful friends. David laughed. They just cut you off. In the last 2 hours, your company lost $300 million in contracts. The board is firing you right now. Morrison's phone rang. His assistant. Sir, you're fired. No severance. Your account is closed. Your car is being taken. Morrison dropped into his seat, crushed. In hours, he'd lost everything, all because he underestimated the woman he tried to silence. Ladies and gentlemen, Kesha said, holding her sleeping baby, I dedicate this to all the brilliant minds silenced by prejudice. Today we proved true excellence always shines. The crowd clapped louder than ever. Morrison was led away by federal agents. Kesha, once called worthless, was now getting offers from top schools and companies. As the applause grew, people wondered, could such injustice truly spark real change? And how many more brilliant people were still silenced, just waiting to prove greatness has no color or class? 2 years later, Dr. Kesha Williams signed a contract to bring her pacemaker to 40 countries. Her company was worth $50 million and had saved 200,000 lives. Her daughter Sophia, now 2, played in her office as she closed deals to transform heart care around the world. "Dr. Williams," a WHO leader said, "your impact is amazing." Across town, Morrison left yet another failed interview. 2 years after his downfall, no one would hire him. His connections vanished when the recordings came out. He now lived in a tiny apartment, working part-time as a telemarketer. His wife divorced him, his children wouldn't speak to him, and Advance Med was gone, paying $800 million in fines. That same day, Kesha got a moving phone call. "Dr. Williams, this is Jessica, the black MIT student. Your story inspired me. I got a full scholarship and now I'm building tech for rural areas." Calls like this came every day. Kesha's journey inspired a whole generation of young minority scientists. Even Victoria Ashford faced consequences. After her racist comments went viral, she was kicked out of high society circles. Her own family rejected her. Marcus Webb used this case to start the National Center for Combating Corporate Discrimination, changing hiring in hundreds of companies and shutting down 17 more that refused to change. That night, as she tucked Sophia into bed in their Palo Alto home, Kesha looked out the window. She thought of the days she had slept in shelters. On her desk lay her new project, artificial intelligence to spot bias in hiring. Kesha's real victory wasn't just beating Morrison or becoming rich. It was proving brilliance has no color and injustice can become a chance to create change. Morrison tried to silence her because he feared her intelligence. Victoria hated her because she couldn't look past her own prejudice. Both paid the price for judging someone by appearances. 2 years ago, Kesha was a pregnant woman asking for scraps. Today, she gives hope to millions, proving that turning pain into purpose has no limits. The lesson she taught was clear. The best revenge isn't destroying those who hurt you. It's building something so great that they spend their lives wishing they had supported you. If this story inspired you, subscribe to this channel for more stories.